Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! Okay, here we go. We're gonna do our weekly show creation. After we create, hey, the red lights. Oh, I see. The Comcast staff has graciously allowed us to tape us going the next step and taking care of our show and turning it into a show. Okay, well, we've already done the, just a quick explanation, we've already done the uploading of the clips we're going to use, and that would be the clip of the show, which we measured out at about 20 minutes of running time. We've actually also included, because of the show being only 20 minutes long, we had to fill it out a little bit. We're uploading for potential use Sad Cat Diary, Sad Dog Diary, and a clip of the kids in the house. And I'm going to go ahead and just explain as we go along. Okay. We're going to file, import files. Oops, hold on. File. We also have to upload our opening and our closing. Open and close. Choose, and we're going to have to do close with credits and open. And with a push of the button, choose, and they're there. Okay, now we're going to move our opening for Basil BuddhaCat Presents down into the spot. We're going to take our bulk of our show, we're going to slide it over. We're going to edit it.
Okay, where's Bill Murray? Bill Murray's supposed to be in the audience. He's not in the hammock.
Okay. So we're going to spot that as, oops, hold on, delete. Let's see, endpoint. Now we're going to find the out.
Say, Kristen on camera. Hold on. It's 2 eyes. Kristen on camera. Basil BuddhaCat Hold on.
We got a Scrabble tiles.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Kristen on camera.
Okay.
And Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Bye.
And we're going to set the out point. And now we're going to move that and insert it right after the thing. And that gets us to, let's see, that far. Hold on. Okay, now let's undo that. And this is not too tricky. Delete. Go back there. We want to actually make sure we've got And we do. So, okay. Got to reinsert it after the opening. Now we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to find some spots. But the way we're going to do that is we're going to put the close with credits in afterwards.
Okay, where's Bill Murray? Bill Murray's supposed to be in the audience. He's not in the hammock. Oh, you know what it is? He's counting on us to do our summertime movie review and to talk about our. Wait a second, let me. Nice to know you look at me in case you give me the two whisker rotation on the right hand side, which of course is this, or the one whisker rotation on the right hand side, which is the antithesis of this, or as Basil likes to refer to it as giving me the middle claw. Okay, so will somebody get Bill Murray here into his hammock? Come on. I mean, just because we're not doing the hey, is that camera centered so that this is not in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
And Basil's there in his full glory, right?
exactly there and over
To a little bit of that cabinet.
to the rake.
The rake's in the picture?
Well, not much of it.
Okay. Well, we won't go into the yard work aspect of the show, but at any rate, so Basil says Basil's been telling me that he wants to continue with this process of how do you put it, Basil? Okay, he said first of all, get Feather Duster Kitty off the table. Okay, you go on, Walter. Basil says that. Oh, jeez. Well, I bet that happens in the litter pan occasionally too. I'm sure it happens, doesn't it? I no doubt.
They're smarter than that.
Well, when it comes to chocolate, apparently they don't know. Although, then I guess it's time. I guess that's the time for us to do our promotions for our corporate sponsors. And should we? All right, hold on. Where's the wrapper? I don't see the wrapper. How can we do the Tootsie Roll without the wrapper?
To the floor.
Hold on.
On the floor.
Oh yeah. Okay. Tootsie Roll. You want to know? You want to have evidence that Basil endorses this candy? Said. Just look at my cat pan, my litter pan, my litter box, and you'll know that Tootsie Roll is the preferred candy of Basil BuddhaCats everywhere. Okay, okay. I guess the table got dusted off enough. Feather Duster Kitty went on to her next spot in the house to dust. Okay, so anyway, Basil said, getting back to the nature of the show, Basil says, said, yeah, he likes to keeping on with this screw Fox News. Here's cat news. Way of playing our episodes out, and until we run out of news, then we're just going to keep on doing it. Now, Basil says that it's important that he makes some references to some of the folks that give him his biggest impetus, they motivate him to They motivate him to do what he does. And amongst those are, breaking news. Can we cover news? I mean, are we allowed to cover news on Cat News, or is it just, or are we just going to do like Fox News, only in reverse? Okay, breaking news. Rand Paul discovers that he, in fact, is a liberal. He always thought he was a libertarian, but now he's finding that that this people are starting to confuse him with libertarians. So he's decided he's going to he can reach out to the liberal vote. His new motto is, "Hey, I like black people too." Okay, so at any rate, but before we need to finish off our Piggy, although Piggy does not have a litter box, Piggy likes Tootsie Roll. What do we? Some of these guys seem to have bailed on us. I mean, for some reason, A&W root beer, which was actually, for our purposes, renamed with an extra letter added, P-A-W root beer, paw root beer. For some reason, they've been giving us a little agita about they're being a bit persnickety about us adding the extra P, because they said that they were going to hold back and they were going to add the extra P at a later date. But we're telling you right now, you take a good sniff of PAW root beer, there's enough of that extra letter in there already. You don't need any more. I think you got the formula pretty much worked out. Okay? And, what else? This one still count? Since 1783. Schweppervescence. Okay. What else? I mean, we've got our guests. We've got our super jumbo Cat in the Hat phone. We've got our medium-size Nickelodeon phone. We've got our eensy-weensy phone for the guests that appear like the guests that are, if we get calls in from our folks that we're going to be discussing. Oh, yeah, the breaking news. Okay. More breaking news. Out of Kentucky. Tammy Grimes is ahead of Mitch McConnell in polls that we don't care about anyway, because what do polls matter? It's the only poll that counts is the one on Election Day. But apparently Tammy Grimes has found out that Mitch McConnell was actually born in West Virginia. And based on that, now that's only for president. Okay. So anyway, back to, Cat News. Okay. We've got some reports out of La La Land that, and when I say La La Land, it's our neighbor next door, Joseph Lala. He says he's been watching Fox News lately, as we have, and he's discovered a couple of things. First, he discovered that Glenn Beck's no longer on Fox News, that he's gone on and he's got his own channel, which can be found somewhere. And he also found out that that the reason why Rush Limbaugh is only doing radio is because he's got a problem with his looks. He says people are finding out that people found out through us probably that Rush Limbaugh had a problem a few years ago with a certain prescription drug, and he got caught getting 89 different prescriptions for the same legal drug, but prescription drug, through 89 different doctors. He got caught at that, and he immediately blamed it on marijuana. Okay. Now, we have 3 new books out, and I guess, we're not doing the movies. Bill's not here anyway, so we're not doing the movies today, but we're going to go on to discuss 3 new books. And amazingly enough, one is by Rush Limbaugh, one by Sean Hannity, and one by Bill O'Reilly. 3 new books, and 3 marvelous books and these books are coming out on the background information, the knowledge that since the Affordable Care Act went into effect on January 1st, and people began being covered by the Affordable Care Act, either through Medicare for those who qualified for the Medicare because their income isn't enough to buy health insurance, or regular insurance plans. And each state that had the set up exchanges put out competitive bids for got a feather dust a kitty dust in the chair. Put out competitive bids for insurers, for HMOs, and chose a number of those HMOs for their individual states. And under those HMOs, a couple things changed. First of all, people could not be denied medical coverage based on pre-existing conditions. And Basil will tell you a story about a certain co-host of his who was insured for the first time in about 15 years under the Affordable Care Act. And the reason why he hadn't been insured for 15 years is because he was kicked out of the plan because his family has a pre-existing medical condition involving heart issues. And because of that, Basil, a certain co-host of Basil's, names need not be named, was able to have health insurance for the first time in 15 years as of January 1st. And lo and behold, no, I'm not going to mention the fact that I'd been having some heaviness on my chest for the entire month of December. Doesn't matter. But what does matter is that January 2nd, that heaviness returned, and called my family doctor, who I kept under the Affordable Care Act. Now, a lot of people have family doctors that aren't in the particular plan that they end up with. And there's a pretty simple solution to that. If you see your doctor probably once or twice a year, like most people do, you pay out of pocket for that. You keep your family doctor. It might cost you, well, in my case, about $100 each or 2 times a year to visit, and to spend the time with a doctor that knows my history, knows me, knows what to ask, knows what to listen for. You got that covered for a couple $100 a year. Anything else, clearly and obviously, you go through the plan. If there's any surgery needed, or in my case, January 2nd, heaviness on the chest, called my doctor. He said, you might want to have somebody take you over to the emergency room of the hospital immediately. I did. Upshot, blood clots on the lungs. If I didn't have health insurance, quite possibly I would have done like many Americans do, had done previously, when they have things that they're afraid are going to cost them a lot of money if they have to pay for themselves. I might have ignored the symptoms. I mean, I held off through the month of December, but when January arrived, I knew well enough to not ignore the symptoms. Hospital, blood clots on lungs, and I'm still here. And Basil knows I'm still here because, and he wants me to point this out because we've done a couple of shows where I didn't have a red tie on, and Basil is looking all around and trying to figure out where the heck I am. And without the red tie, Basil says he can't see me because cats apparently have only have the ability to see the color red clearly. It's the only one that... now, if I had a blue tie on, I'd wave it around, and Basil might at least thank whoever is out there in the audience for cooling him off with a little bit of a little waft of air coming off of something. But now, with the red tie, he knows I'm here. And, okay, back to the story. Back to the 3 books. One book, and all these books are about the Affordable Care Act, and ignorant of the fact that that under the Affordable Care Act so far, the percentage of Americans who do not have health care coverage has gone from 18% down to 13%. And we have new numbers coming out soon, and we'll see how they reflect. But I think it's pretty safe to say we can presume that the percentage of Americans without health care coverage who will be susceptible to things like blood clots in their lungs and not having the money to take care of it themselves will continue to go down. So the 3 books. Okay, first book by Rush Limbaugh. Book's titled "I Am Going to Hold My Breath Until Obamacare is Overturned" by Rush Limbaugh. Second book, here's a book by Sean Hannity. "I Am Going to Pout and Whine Until Obamacare is Overturned" by Sean Hannity. Although, of course, these books are more than likely ghost-written to some degree. And the best of them all, here you go. This is the one that'll really catch your ear because it comes from a fellow whose middle name is Shut Up, because that's what he says to a lot of his guests before he cuts their mic off. This book is by Bill O'Reilly. "I am going to scream at the top of my lungs until Obamacare is overturned." So that's it. Okay. Now, I read these books. I mean, they're only about 18 pages long, each one of them. And they're fashioned kind of after apparently these guys all grew up in the same time period, or at least were exposed to the same kids' books. And they're based on Dr. Seuss's book, If I Ran the Zoo. And their versions that they put out under separate covers have been If I Ran America. So, but they don't make any method. Hold on. It's your cousin Irving. What do you want me to tell him? Basil said, whatever he's asking, do like Nancy Reagan and just say no. The war on drugs. And again, back to Rand Paul. Rand Paul's a big proponent, as are libertarians and liberals, of the fact that the war on drugs hasn't accomplished a darn thing in decades. All that it basically has accomplished is that our prisons are filled up with minor drug offenders. And having marijuana decriminalized in a number of states now will probably have some effect on that. It'll probably reduce the number of folks that are in prison for casual marijuana use or for sale of the dreaded weed. But at any rate, Irving's still on. Does Irving go by the name of BuddhaCat also? Basil said, no. Said no. Actually, the only ones that he's allowed to adopt his last name, BuddhaCat. The only two are Lilith BuddhaCat, Basil's common law wife, and he said common law is not exactly what you would use to describe Lilith. She is not common. She is very uncommon. And the other adopted cat in the family, Walter. And Walter doesn't go by the name of Walter BuddhaCat. Walter goes by Walter A. BuddhaCat. And hold on. Come back this way. Good. Go. Get your tail out of my face, too, while you're at it. Hold on. Yeah, okay, go to the chair. That's it. Okay. She's a big mush. With the emphasis on big. So back to the books. Actually, back to Rand Paul. Oh! Bring that feather back up here. You're supposed to feather dust with your big tail, not with a feather, not with an actual feather. Okay. So here you go. I'm going to actually, you know what? We have a note from our attorney here. No, not that attorney. That what we need to do is we need to get permission from those three noted authors, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Bill O'Reilly, before we actually. But the question that's on everyone's mind, at least on Basil's, and that's the one that counts apparently since it's his show, is that have they stopped using the term death panels yet? And the answer to that is yeah, they stopped using that because apparently a certain host of a certain Comcast TV show, Basil, hammered him enough with the fact that death panels have been around ever since HMOs were allowed to take over the healthcare industry. HMOs have death panels, and by delaying, deferring, or denying healthcare coverage to individuals, they basically write this death sentences for millions of Americans in the 40-odd years that they've been in operation. And with that, we're going to have to go to a couple commercials. We'll get Sad Cat, Sad Dog, something or other up. Maybe we'll get the kids in action up. And this has been Basil BuddhaCat. I'm David Stevenson, Basil's co-host. Basil BuddhaCat, adorned in his finery. And apparently somebody's been stealing our Scrabble tiles. But it's supposed to say, Kristen on camera. Hold on. It's 2 eyes. Kristen on camera. Basil BuddhaCat Hold on. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on. Kristen on camera. And Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Bye.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.